Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of The Fourth Substitute. This is our soccer or football podcast here on the Liberty Sports Network. And as you can see, I'm Mitchell, that's Ben, and that's Justin. I'm a Newcastle fan. That's Ben is a Chelsea fan, and Justin is just a soccer fan in general or football. It's got to take a while to get used to whatever pronunciation you guys would like because I know we have a lot of Newcastle listeners out there. So thank you guys for tuning in. And on that note, today this episode is being recorded on January 31st at 10 o'clock our time on the east coast of the United States. So that's about 3 a.m. England time. And that means the transfer window has came and gone for the Premier League and European football. So that means it is time to review what happened in transfers for this year or this window because summer window is just right around the corner, just a couple months away. Well, I'm going to get started here with Newcastle. Newcastle has spent the most money they ever had in 14 years combined in the January window under Mike Ashley. I'm just going to go out and say, I think this is brilliant, even though we could have used another attacking option, such as Jesse Lingard. Unfortunately, Deer fell through towards the end of the window. Zapata, he was available for loan. However, it wasn't looking like he had a buy option, which we would have wanted. However, I think this team can stay up with the moves they made, starting off with the first move of the season that came January 7th when Kieran Trippier came from Atletico Madrid to Newcastle for 13 million quid. That is an amazing, astonishing, cheap fee for an England international, which is amazing for Newcastle to have. He solidifies the right back position for 2.5 years, which is amazing. Next up is a little bit of a panic buy from Newcastle. It was about £25 million. It's from Burnley. We paid his release cost. His name is Chris Wood, the New Zealand captain. He is tall. He can get a lot of headers. He can win a lot of aerials. He's a little on his finesse. He needs to work on it. However, he's a great striking option until Callum Wilson can come back. But I have an idea for him. I'll get to that at the end of this. I have an idea of a perfect formation for Newcastle to run. Next, we got our main keystone signing for £35 million, Bruno Guillermeres. Guillermeres is a Brazilian appearance on the international team. He won a gold medal last year. He is an amazing central defensive midfielder, and he'll work perfectly with Joelinton and John Joe Shelby in midfield. However, I do think that we can play around with that a little bit with all the moves that we made. And then on deadline day today, we brought in Matt Target on loan from Aston Villa with a option to buy at the end of the year. And then we also brought in Dan Byrne, the local Geordie boy who was cut from the youth team in 2009. He is now returned to his boyhood club on a 2.5-year deal worth about $13 million. He is 6'7". He is a tall lad, and he will fit perfectly into this defense. That leads me to my next point. Newcastle is now 18th in league currently. We're a point behind Norwich with a game in hand. Everton is 4 points away, and yet they played one game less than us. We play them the 8th. That's going to be an amazing game at St. James Parks. It's going to be amazing, sold-out crowd. Everybody's going to be there because if we win this game, Everton will be now forced to join us in the relegation battle, even though they did bring in Donny van de Beek and who's the last person? Oh, Dele Alli on deadline day, and brought in a new manager in Frank Lampard. It's still going to be an interesting battle there in the bottom. However, with this team, we are bad in goal differential. We have negative 22 goals, meaning we have scored 22 goals less than what we have allowed this year. And with this new team, I do believe that will stop the leaking of goals. We're a little light on the scoring goal side. However, we have allowed 21 points from winning positions this year, meaning that if we actually held on to lead in our games, every single game we've had a lead in this year, we would be at 36 points, which would drop us into the title, a Champions League race with 36 points on point with Arsenal and Tottenham. That would have been amazing to feel, but however, unfortunately, Steve Bruce kind of wet the bed on that one, allowing us to not get in a good position. Eddie Howe has done great so far in his tenure, I believe, and he likes the 4-4-2 formation, or he likes the 4-3-3. Now, with this team, you can play multiple different options. I believe until Kyle Wilson comes back from injury, they will be playing a 4-3-3 formation. Left back will be Kyle Target, Matty Target. I believe he will be the left back for the squad. Left center back will be Dan Byrne. Right center back will be Fabian Schär, and right back will be Kieran Trippier. Obviously, goalkeeper will be Martin Dubravka. His injury is unknown right now, but I believe he'll be fit for February 8th. If that doesn't happen, Kyle Darlow will be back at goaltender for the Magpies. Then on the left side of the midfield, we'll have Alain Saint-Maximin and his French speedster self on the left side. Then we'll have at the left center mid position, we'll have Joel Linton, our pride and savior. I'm proud to say I just ordered my first Joel Linton jersey today. The one here I have is Kieran Trippier because I believe he has a special place in all of our hearts as the first major signing of our new ownership. Then it's central defense, our central defensive mid, which will be playing a little bit behind Joel Linton, and the other center mid will be Bruno Guillermeres. Really great player. I believe he'll do wonders for this team on his 5-year deal. Then on the right center mid, we'll have John Shelby. He still is a great passer, a great quarterback for this team, and his free kicks are still on point, as shown by his goal against Leeds. Then on the right side, Ryan Fraser, who has refound himself under Eddie Howe. He will stay at that right mid position. Then up front, as always, we'll have our wonderful striker, Chris Wood, bringing up that position. However, when Cal Wilson gets back, I believe we'll transition to a more 4-4-2 base. Same back four, same midfield. However, I do believe Shondro Shelby would fall out of favor in this squad in replace of Bruno and Joelinton being the lone center mids in this team, with Cal Wilson and Chris Wood having a striker partnership up front. I believe that will allow for more crosses to come in and score, as well as allowed for more opportunities to score and play up the pitch. That's all I got to say for Newcastle. Now let's go to Ben, who has some things to say about the United States men's national team, as well as some MLS news.
Correct. So Mitchell introduced me as a Chelsea fan, but at heart, of course, I bleed the blue and gold, the Philadelphia Union. Yes. So let's bring some news from them. They got two great attacking pieces. Of course, Kasper Shabilko, unfortunately, we had to say goodbye. He went to the Chicago Fire for allocation money, but a ton of it. And with that allocation money, they brought in Julian Carranza from Inter Miami, a former player at the Argentine Premier League. He's only 21 years old and is on loan for the Philadelphia Union with option to buy. He struggled at Inter Miami, but I believe getting him a new home here in Philadelphia with a more attacking style of play, with better midfielders, better players, I think he's going to shine here. And of course, the big signing, the record-breaking signing, in fact, for the Philadelphia Union, Mikhail Orre is coming here to Chester, Pennsylvania, for a whopping $3 million. Now, of course, for all you Premier League folk, you're like, all right, that's nothing. Well, the Philadelphia Union have never paid that much for a transfer. Mm-hmm. Justin, do you know who is the second highest transfer for the Union right now?
I do not.
Andre Blake.
You do not know. Jamiro Montero, he was $2 million when he came to the Philadelphia Union. Now he exceeds that by over $1 million. And by the way, good that he exceeds that for $1 million because he's worth it. He is the Danish Golden Boot winner. He's a winner at the Danish level. He's only 27 and is an absolute stud. Now, taking a look at this Union team after this, after both these signings, you have Andre Blake, a goalkeeper. At your defenders, Jack Elliott, Stuart Finlay, Jacob Glesnes, Nathan Harriel, Olivia Mbizo, who, by the way, is killing it in the African Cup of Nations, and Kai Wagner, who is not going to be going to Europe after all. He will be staying with the Philadelphia Union. A big piece that's going to be staying here. At midfielders, this is sick. Young Paxton Eriksen at the backup. Of course, you got the captain, Alejandro Bedoya. He's going to be staying, but he may be seeing less time now that he's 34 years old, but still a very good, aggressive player. Jesus Bueno as a backup, who is a very young player. Brandon Craig, Jack DeVries, Leon Flock, they're all great players. Leon Flock playing against NYCFC did a remarkable job, even despite the loss. Daniel Gazdag, the transfer from last year, has been absolutely killing it at the defensive midfield. Jose Martinez, who's now killing it for Colombia at the national team level, guarding guys like Lionel Messi in their World Cup qualifiers. Jack McGlynn, Jamiro Montero is going to be staying with the Union. He wanted out once upon a time, but it looks like he will be staying here for now as the Union are trying to work out the visa for his family. Matej Orvik is a backup, Quinn Sullivan and Cole Turner. That's a sick midfield. I can't wait to see what formations come out of that. And after the two transfers, it looks like this. At your backup strikers, Corey Burke and Sergio Santos. Once upon a time, they started every single game. Well, now they're going to be riding the bench most of the games. And then, of course, the two new signings, Mikhail Orre and Julian Carranza, are going to be your two main strikers. This is the best Philadelphia Union team I've seen in years, maybe even ever on paper, but we'll have to see how that goes. All right. Now, the United States national team, they had a great win against El Salvador, 1-0, but then fell to Canada. But that is okay because you have a game against Honduras Wednesday, who they have been really struggling in World Cup qualifying. If you win against Honduras, you are safely in position to get the World Cup. You would like to win the next three, which are Mexico, Panama, and Costa Rica, but you don't necessarily have to. Of course, playing Mexico is super tough because it will be at the Azteca in Mexico City, a 90,000-seat stadium full of super rowdy fans against one of the best teams in CONCACAF. But this is one of the best United States national teams I've seen, at least me being alive. Probably the only one that's better was the World Cup team that went to the quarterfinals with Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley, etc. But this looks really good, and they're super young. They have Pulisic. They have some really cool young strikers. Ricardo Pepe's been doing a great job at this level. This is going to be a really sick U.S. national team. Weston McKennie's in there. And by the way, this is without Gio Reyna and John Brooks, and they've been holding their own. So good job to the United States national team, and we'll see what happens with the rest of World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, just before we move on to Justin, I wanted to add on, the MLS is becoming more and more popular to European players as Toronto FC signed Insigne this past month on a record-breaking deal for the club. And unfortunately, they did have to part with Josie Altidore, who is personally one of my favorites from the 2010s and the 2010s of the United States men's national team in South Africa. But the MLS is going in a great direction. If it can become more competitive, I would be happy to see them play more European teams. And I would love to see more European teams versus MLS teams, hopefully in the future.
Well, by the way, that hasn't been like a newer trend. It's been happening, but it's increasing very quickly. Remember, this is not the biggest splash that Toronto FC's ever had. They signed Giovinco for a whopping price. They also signed Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore when at the time it was impossible for these guys to come here. So it was a great signing for Toronto FC, but not the first time they did it. But what's changing about the MLS now is it's not the first time we've seen talent. It's the first time we've seen young European talent, because this used to be a retirement league. You saw guys like Wayne Rooney, Landon Donovan, David Beckham come here because they want to retire in the United States, go to LA, explore New York, etc. Now these players are being bought from in their prime from European teams just to play in MLS. The MLS is trending in a really great direction, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
I definitely agree. And Justin, I think you have something to talk about with Barcelona and Arsenal. Is something that happened just today.
Yes, I do. Once I can find it.
In the meantime, while he finds that, Tottenham have also made two moves with Juventus, getting Bentancur, and I believe it's the Swedish winger they had. He was originally signed by the current Tottenham director of football, and he is now returned back to the directors club of Tottenham.
I'm sorry. If I learned one lesson from going to England and actually going to a live soccer game, it's that no one likes Tottenham.
No, as a
no one likes
Newcastle
Tottenham.
fan, we have set new boundaries on players who we don't, teams that we do not like. We do not like Tottenham. We do not like Man United, especially after today. We don't like Sevilla. We don't like Lille, and I don't believe there is any other big ones other than the usual ones that we play in Premier League. And usually, well, we hate Sunderland. Don't get me wrong, Sunderland's a bad club, and it would have been funny to see Steve Bruce go back and be their manager. Unfortunately, I do not believe he is, but it'll be funny to see that happen. But Justin, talk to us what happened to the former Arsenal captain today.
Arsenal. You said you. All right. Hold on.
Aubameyang, I believe.
Yeah. So, hold on. You can edit this out, right? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
All right.
it's fine. We talked through it.
Okay. So yeah, Aubameyang is going to Barcelona, and he's good. So that's not
Yeah, that's
good
a
for
good. I
Arsenal.
mean, yeah, Aubameyang cut his wages personally in order to move to Barcelona. Another player that was linked with a move from Barcelona was Usman Dembele, who fell out of favor with the current management team there. He was supposed to transfer out. Newcastle were one of the suitors for him. Unfortunately, he was unable to make a move prior to the deadline, so he'll have to stay till the summer. However, he's target for many teams coming this summer.
What did I also hear a rumor for, or I don't know if it happened, but Real Madrid for Mbappe?
So apparently, it has not been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, who's basically Ian Rappaport. I can't say Adam Schefter now due to American football things happening in the past couple days. But yes, it's been rumored that he has signed a 4-year, agreed to a 4-year, £64 million deal with the Spanish side. He will be leaving PSG and Messi behind. Messi and Neymar would be left alone on the PSG squad. It will be interesting to see if Messi tries to go out and find a new team. Granted, he kind of did just want to play with Messi and Neymar again and win a title. Unfortunately, that isn't going well. Francis got knocked out on penalties today in the Copa de France, so that's not really good on that. But maybe he can go to Newcastle. I'm not saying Messi will never come to Newcastle, but then again, I would welcome him. I'll welcome Erling Haaland though, because Erling Haaland is ranked with a £64 million move, and I would gladly pay up for him if we stay up next year. Because next year, if we stay up, it's rumored that we'll spend upwards of $200 million or $400 million next year due to financial fair play rules, because our previous owners did not spend any noticeable money over the past 14 years. And that's why we are one of the 2 clubs that are not in debt in the Premier League. Us and I believe it's Burnley are the only 2 that are not. No, Burnley's in heavy debt. I believe it's us and Norwich maybe. It's one of us and the other relegation clubs that aren't in debt. So that's kind of interesting to see. But coming up in the Premier League this coming match week, we have Burnley and Watford on Saturday. We have Newcastle, Everton, West Ham, Watford, and Burnley, Man United on February 8th, which is next Tuesday. Then we have Man City versus Brentford, Norwich versus Crystal Palace, Tottenham versus Southampton, and Aston Villa versus Leeds. And then to finish off that match week, we got Liverpool versus Leicester, Wolves versus Arsenal, closing out on that Thursday. Before we move into our closing thoughts, I almost skipped this over. Christian Eriksen is back in the Premier League with Brentford. He has made a dramatic return to the Premier League after his unfortunate cardiac arrest incident earlier during the Euro 2020s. He unfortunately was released from his contract from Inter Milan. He became a free agent, and he was linked with Newcastle and other clubs. However, he has decided to land with Brentford. Also, Aaron Ramsey, the former Welsh he's still the Welsh international and former Juventus player, has decided as Rangers, the Scottish club, as his next destination in his long career. Now that has led us to our closing thoughts of our first ever Fourth Substitute podcast. We'll start with Justin. Justin, what were your thoughts of just anything soccer related or football related in the past month?
So looking at the Premier League games coming up, I feel like none of them are going to be good because it's either bottom of the barrel teams playing bottom of the barrel teams or just 2 teams that are very far apart.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the new players coming in and, leaving, I think there are going to be some, unexpected things that will happen. And also with Christian Eriksen, he is in the Premier League now, but he's still like, nobody knows when he's actually going to start playing again. So
Yeah.
I think
Ben?
Brentford's still a little bit screwed.
Ben, what do you got to say?
So I want to go into the national team a little bit more. So if you knock on wood, this doesn't happen, but if the United States somehow screws up this World Cup qualifying like they did last time, luckily for them, 4 teams at least have a shot at the World Cup. The number 4 team will play an Oceanian team to decide the World Cup qualifier.
Yes, they played the Oceania champion, which will probably be Australia. No, I have to look that up. You saw, I'll find it.
Australia is something weird with their World Cup qualifier. I don't know what it is. They may be part of like Asia or something like that.
They're part of the Asian. Yeah, they
Yeah.
play like Japan's in there. I have to find it.
Yeah. So, I would think that 4 teams would be out of CONCACAF for the World Cup. So if you're at least in the top 4, I think you have a reasonable shot of making the World Cup in Qatar 2022. And if you do make the World Cup in 2022, 3 teams are locked for 2026 because the United States, Canada, and Mexico will be hosting the World Cup and are automatic qualifiers.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is your Oceania. It's going to be the Oceania division, which will be. I keep clicking on the African Cup of Nations. I don't want that. It looks like it's either going to be Australia, probably. Yeah, it looks like it'll be playing Australia or Japan from the looks of it. Don't get me wrong. It will be a pretty.
Isn't that Asia? Japan's Asia. That's not Oceania.
It just says AFC. So I must go off of that.
Yeah, that's Asia. Oceania
No.
is with an O.
Anyways, on that note, my closing thoughts is just going to be a quick run through of Newcastle's upcoming schedule and just giving a brief predictions for each of the games. We play Everton at home. I believe we'll win that. Aston Villa at home. I believe we will win that game. West Ham away. I believe, unfortunately, we'll either get a draw or lose that game. Brentford, I believe, will win. Brighton, I believe, will win. Chelsea, I think, will lose. Unfortunately, Chelsea is a really good team still. I don't think we're up, but yeah, as Ben said, as Ben shows, we'll play Crystal Palace. I believe we can win that game. Tottenham, I believe, will unfortunately draw or lose that game. We'll probably lose to Leicester. Unfortunately, we'll beat Norwich. We'll lose to Liverpool. We'll probably beat Burnley. Will be our last win and maybe pick up 1 or 2 points. So in that's about 7 wins, maybe 2 draws. So that's 7 times 3 points. That's 21, maybe 23 more points. In that, if we get 23 more points, that brings us up to 38, which is close to 40. 40 is usually guaranteed as the safety zone. But if we get 38 points this season after being at 15 with 2 wins, 9 draws, and 10 losses this year, coming at this point, I would be happy, and I would be happy for the future of this team. Basically, my final closing thoughts is Newcastle fans, don't worry about anything. There's nowhere to go but up after Mike Ashley's tenure. We have been at the bottom of the barrel. We have been at the bottom of the ocean. It is nowhere to go but up. We will be in Europe soon with what the owners will provide. Well, guys, this has been episode 1 of the For Substitute podcast. We are so happy to have you guys here, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and check out some other podcasts if you're interested. Thank you guys so much, and we hope to see you guys again next time.